everyone, and welcome to Google Marketing Platform on Air. Today's topic is going to be reporting in DV360 and how to do advanced measurement and reporting. Today's live stream is going to take about 45 minutes, and we're going to focus on different aspects of reporting in DV360. Let's maybe start with introducing ourselves. My name is Magda Wójtowicz, and I am GMP Tech Manager working from Dublin, and I'm working on Central and Eastern European market.
And I'm Lorenzo Cattaneo, GMP Tech Manager for the Italian market.
So just a quick reminder before we start with the agenda to sign up for our GMP biweekly newsletter to receive the latest updates on the products and also invitations for the live stream that we are running. In order to do so, go to the website that's on the slide, click on register a GMP newsletter and fill out the registration form in order to get those latest news into your inbox directly. So let's just switch to the agenda right now. Today we're going to talk about different aspects of reporting in DV360. For the first 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about different reporting solutions in DV360 and how you can test ads with experiments. Then Lorenzo, for the next 20 minutes, is going to focus on automation, accessing Google APIs, and how you can visualize your data. Then, afterwards, we're going to have 5 minutes Q&A. So I highly encourage you to add your questions in the chat. So let's start with reporting in DV360 and how you can leverage those tools that are already available in the platform. So as an example, you can use instant reporting. This is a great tool to have apart from the offline reporting that you are probably using. But this tool enables you and encourages you to build reports even faster, which takes you less than 3 seconds. Not only you can build the tables there based on the advertiser ID and those specific metrics that you would like to see for your campaigns, but also you can visualize this data. You can use different types of charts, you can use line charts, pie charts, you can download them directly, and you can use it to show it to your clients and to your teammates really quickly. The one important thing to remember here, you can use this like up to 90 days of data. If you want to open a reports that are more than 90 days of data, you would need to switch to the offline reporting. However, the benefit of using that is using those and seeing those insights really quickly. You don't need to wait for a really robust reporting to download and wait until it loads. Right now you can download it and see it really quickly by swiping and dragging the metrics and the columns that you would like to see in a really efficient way. In order to access instant reporting, you would need to go to the Insights module and then find the Insights report at the very top left of the tool. Then you're going to go to the new report dropdown and you're going to be there. Another thing that it's really interesting in here, you can use different types of charts. So it's not only about the flat table that you can download and basically use a CSV file and then, for example, analyze from there, but you can also use a time series chart, bar chart, pie chart, or a scatter chart. So you can visualize your data in a really nice way and share with your clients. So as a best practice, you use instant reporting to analyze the campaign performance in less than 3 seconds. It's really efficient, really fast. You can see the data immediately. You don't have to wait until the report loads. And then you can download it for offline viewing. Another kind of option that not a lot of people are aware about and it's very underutilized is scheduled reporting. What you can do in scheduled reporting is basically use the offline reporting that you're probably using to utilize your data, but in a more efficient way. You can schedule the reports to see them in your inbox every week, every day, or even in a month period of time. It's up to you. What is even more, you can share this with specific people. So for example, you can use the group alias that you are using with the people that you're working with, or maybe your boss if you want to basically share the success metrics that on the campaign that you are already running. As a best practice and kind of cases scenarios, that would be, for example, the campaigns that you are already running and you would like to monitor day by day without going to the UI and checking the stats. Or you can, for example, use this for monthly check-ins if you have any kind of monthly reporting, or for QBRs if you have any quarterly business reviews with your clients. So you don't actually have to remember in order to use those reports. You don't have to go every quarter or month to use and again create those reports. You can actually schedule them and see them in your inbox without any kind of reminders. So another great tool to have in order to automate and being more efficient in your role and basically saving time. Another thing that I would like to talk about today is experiments in DV360. So basically it's about A/B testing feature that we recently launched in the tool. So probably you are asking sometimes yourself, why should I run experiments in DV360 and what are the best kind of cases scenarios? I saw a couple of examples where you can use it. For example, if you have a big client or big brand that they have already established their kind of audience strategy and the way they kind of target people, but they are not really open and willing to kind of open their targeting options or their strategies. That's the way where the experiment comes in as an A/B test. You can ask the client to basically run this A/B test as a way to see if this new feature or the new creative or anything that you would like to test will work for them. You can basically take a small chunk of the budget that you have and experiment this in DV360 in that new feature and a strategy that you think that would work for them, to convince them to use this specific feature or targeting. So how does this work in practice and how ideal situation would look like? You would need to decide to test one variable at the time. So and this particular scenario on the slide, we would be testing if auto bidding works better for us or manual bidding. In order to test that and in order to do this very efficient in a correct way, you would need to have two identical IOs with two different bidding strategies. Then you would test approximately this for 2 or 3 weeks until the data is complete and you have enough data in order to make a decision what is the right direction you should go. Also, one thing in mind in here, you would need to know what is the success metrics for you. So whether this is CPA, CTR, or maybe another kind of success KPI that you will be measured success with. Then, in terms of targeting, the targeting must be the same. So in order to do this correctly, we recommend to create one IO, for example with auto bidding, and then duplicate this IO and apply manual bidding in there. So in this way, you will be able to ensure that the targeting options are the same and you haven't missed anything. Remember, whatever you are testing is the only variable that you are changing between those IOs. Because if you change more variables than one, you will not be able to assess if something is successful or not and what actually worked really well in terms of those features that you would like to test. After you set up your IOs in the system and you basically add the experiment to it, which I will show you in a second, after some time, approximately 7 to 10 days, you can run basic optimization. So in this case scenario, on auto bidding, you could exclude sites, day parting, and on manual bidding, you can change bids and also do the same. We don't really recommend changing the bid strategy on auto bidding since it's already switched to some algorithm. And And basically, it's very similar for manual bidding as well. Don't add new inventory while the experiment is running, and don't remove drastic amount of inventory too. After the experiment is completed, so approximately after 2 to 3 weeks, you will be able to assess what's really working for you well and what kind of decision you need to make in order to proceed, and if this test was successful for you. So how does this look in the background basically, and how does this technically work? So what happens in the background once you attach the experiment to insertion orders? The system will split those 2 or more strategies that you are actually setting up into different cookie pools. So you kind of ensure that you are not overlapping the audiences or those 2 groups that you are testing. So as an example, I am a woman and I'm interested in music. So if I want to set up experiment to test out if demographic audiences are working better or the affinities are working better, you would need to have those 2 different groups. And what experiment does is basically, I'm gonna only be served an ad one time, either as a demographic or as a affinity. I will not be served this ad 2 times because the system in the background split those cookies. So there's a big advantage to use A/B testing in DV360, this specific feature, rather than not using it, just because we have those like split between those 2 cookie pools. If we don't attach the experiment to those 2 different IOs, I will most likely be served the same ad at the same time, just because I'm in those 2 targeting buckets. But going back to the things that you can test in DV360, it's not only about automatic or fixed bidding. Also, the popular thing that you can test, it will be different creatives. So the popular test that we're seeing across different advertisers, that will be, for example, very generic creative and more targeted creative. So with more generic messaging and something that's maybe tied to your audiences that you are targeting. Then you can also use different creative messages. So test what kind of audience is kind of striking your audience and what kind of audience is kind of related to. What else you can test? There are so much more things to do. For example, affinity versus keyword targeting, behavioral versus contextual. The options are endless, but you need to remember to test one thing at a time. So here's how you can do it in DV360. First of all, you would navigate to experiments and left option. Then you would add the name of your experiment, obviously, because you would need to know if you are running a lot of experiments, what this experiment is about and what is the name. Then the first thing you would need to choose is the experiment goal. So what you would like to see as your success metrics, whether you are testing for conversions, clicks, or completed video views. Then after that, you would need to select specific insertion orders or line items. So what you can do, apart from adding 2 insertion orders, if you are running a more complex campaign, you can also add the experiment to the line items if you have multiple line items that you would like to specifically test. But generally, we recommend to have specific 2 different insertion orders in order to have the clean data and see this in a very easy and structured way. After that, you would decide on audience split and how long the experiment should run. So in this particular scenario, we are deciding for audience split by 50-50, but you can also opt into different audiences split. Generally, we recommend 50-50 just to get measurable results. And obviously, in terms of starting and end dates, we recommend to have 2 or 3 weeks approximately in order to get the relevant data and the amount of data that you can actually analyze. So here what you would see in the UI after your experiment is finished. You're gonna see basically different metrics, the goals that you are working towards. So in this case scenario, that was the conversions. Then you will be able to see also interactions if your line items or IOs are displayed, and the audience is split, for example, and all of those metrics that you can analyze. There are different limitations to A/B testing, so that would be specific formats and specific types of campaigns. So for example, reservation buys, you will not be able to add those IOs in experiments. TrueView, we don't recommend TrueView as this is running on a different environment. Auto budget allocation may be a little bit tricky in order to use the experiments, just in case just because the budget is very fluid and it may kind of interfere with the algorithm and the testing that we are doing. And one thing to have in mind, apart from those things that I've mentioned in the slide, if you start the experiment, you cannot change the percentage of the splits. So before the experiment starts, think about how you would like to split the audience, because there's basically no way to change this back. Just to recap on the A/B testing, we recommend this in order to test those features that you would like to implement. They're innovative, but maybe you are not sure if this is the right thing for you to do. We recommend this rather than doing this manually in different line items, just because the cookies are split between two different groups, and those two groups, even if they are overlapping, there won't be basically serve the same ad at the same time. And also to test one variable per experiment. So here is a recap again. You can not only test the creative's effectiveness, as it's probably the most popular way to test, but also using auto bidding versus fixed bidding, different audiences types, or for example contextual or behavior targeting. Remember to test only one thing at the time, because if you have different variables, you will not be able to assess what's working well for you. And also the best practices will be duplicating the existing IO and then just apply the variable that you would like to test. Then all the experiments enable you to split the groups, so you will not experience the overlap between the segments you're testing.
And thanks, Magda, for just showing us the solution that we got into the platform. And let's move on a bit, because we know that you guys got a lot of challenges, daily challenges within your organization about reporting analysis and also visualization stuff. So a bit of numbers, your numbers, let's say, because we just realized that for example, in Campaign Manager and DV360, we got more than 150 entities per campaign. We just collect rough numbers, but more than 100 per month in terms of like campaign created average in EMEA, and more than 2 hours average time needed to create a full campaign across GMP. But you know what? You can do these in less than 10 minutes, relying on automated solution like APIs and SDF. Relying on what? Relying on automation. This is the key, this is the word, or I know that you already using it, but remember that these will help you to improve your efficiency within the workflow and within the reporting solution. And it will help you to save time that is very precious for you to get insights for your companies. Here's a standard and generalized workflow. So we got like 3 actions. The main one, the first one, get the data, so collection and collect the data. Then through automation tool, we can work them, and then you can use them. So in at the right side, you see trafficking and workflow, and also data activation and reporting and visualization actions. So this is just a standardized and generalized workflow, but is your daily work. We are here just to show you and to let you think about automated solution, and here is just the trend line. We wanna go farther with you on the tech maturity line. So starting from what you have done in the past, so working manually on the interface and then uploading files like CSV, we want to bring you using like the APIs, so automated solution that will help you to save time and improve your workflow. Today we are gonna focus mainly on display and video 360 APIs, but you have to remember that we got APIs for each one of our product, not only on GMP but also like outside of GMP, so other Google products got their own APIs. Not all the APIs of our product are the same, but today, as mentioned, we're gonna focus mainly on display and video 360. But first, let's introduce what is an API. In concrete, if we just take the acronym APIs, Application Program Interface, is just an interface not for users but for programs. So it allows two programs to talk each other. Here you got an example, super clear example about Uber, and which is using Google APIs, Google Maps APIs to interact with Google Maps. So the users of Uber will be able to get information about location through this connection. And also another example is just the Bing Ads API, which is used by Search Ad 360 to interact with Bing Ads campaign. Mainly we can separate our APIs in two blocks, like the read APIs and the write APIs. Here are other two examples that are really helpful to understand what they do in concrete. For example, New York Times API on the read part allows developers and programs to retrieve top stories written by journalists, while on the right side you can check like how Twitter API allows developers or programs to write tweet from their server system. So this is, remember that we got both like read and write APIs. If we want to like collect and put in one slide the main task, the main actions that you can do with GMP's APIs, but not only, they will help you to scale the following use cases, like the administration one, maybe just an easy one. Let's say if you want to check like the campaign manager advertising names, if they are all in line with your naming convention, or trafficking and alerting will help you like to control if there's something wrong with one of your campaigns that are running through your platforms, or reporting APIs, so retrieve reports from GMP product and plug them into your own tool. Or the main one, let's say the data activation, which create data pipelines to activate, for example, your CRM of client data within the GMP products. Here you got listed a lot of available support to your use cases based on each one of our GMP product. So here you got listed Analytics 360, Display and Video, Campaign Manager, Search Ads, Google Ads, and also ADH. But how to access to Google APIs is very simple. The Google APIs are accessed through a cloud project with a single Google sign-in, so you can easily get into these APIs with just one Google sign-in. So easy as it is. Let's take a look how you can interact with the Google APIs. Here you got listed 4 ways of interact with Google APIs. The first one, HTTP, TTP, and JSON, is just based on a specific language. The HTTP is just web language protocol, and JSON JavaScript protocol. They are very diffused and known by the developers, and you can rely on this standard web stack, and you can send requests to it and parse the responses. You can also rely on client libraries, and client libraries just provides better language integration, improves security, and support for making calls that require user authorization. Another way to interact with Google APIs is through AppScript, and we still got like a name like DoubleClick that is an old one. Just remember that is just the previous name of GMP. And the DoubleClick campaign service allows you to use the API in AppScript, including autocomplete. And the last one, through browser. So use the API Explorer to test requests and responses in your browser with your own credentials. So these are the 4 ways to interact with our Google APIs. And about display and video 360 APIs, you can, as we said at the beginning, you can easily automate your workflow. How? You can use like reporting API, which is open access, SDF structured data file, open access as well, and open access entity read and write files as well. Starting from the reporting API, you can do whatever you want: create, schedule, run, and download similar report to the one that we saw at the beginning of the session within the report builder. With SDF, I think you already know them and you're using them. You can create and edit campaigns, line items, IOs, and all the entities within DV360, and working them in bulk, so it will be super fast and super easy for you to use them. And about the entity read and write files, you can access daily updated match tables, public and private. We're gonna see them later on. And editing limited parts of an existing line item. Here, just take a closer look to the DV360 APIs, the one we mentioned before. You can see here all the DBM APIs, just to remember that DBM was the previous name of DV360. And in our site, developers.google.com, where you can find all the information, you will still see DBM mentioned. Just remember that is the old name of DV360. As you see here, an example of structured data files, our SDF. You can easily create and edit everything of your entities of the campaign via files. So with a bulk creation and editing, you can really work on all the entities of your DV360 partner. Here, the solution of SDF is available for most of the entities. Here you got listed the one that you daily see: campaign, insertion order, line items, and the part of the true view, and also inventory source. In 3 simple actions how to interact with SDF, you're gonna start first from downloading them, so you can download a CSV file from the UI or through an API. The second one is just like the editing part. You can modify the file, change the existing row data, or add new rows in your file. And then the last one, you can manually upload modified SCV files through the UI. So 3 simple actions, remember them. And please just remember, as we said at the beginning, we want to bring you through the line of the tech maturity. So even if today you're still relying on manual tasks, remember that it will be better to move on and not relying only on manual one, but also the automating solution through software. As you can see here, the pros of using the software is just like you're gonna gain efficiency. You're gonna limit the errors, because human error are still like present in the manual tasks, and you can incorporate data from external sources, APIs. And on the other side, if you're still using manual solutions, remember that you can move on and ask to your AM how to improve your workflow, and trying to rely on automated solution. Let's move on from SDF to entity read files. Entity read files in simple are really flat files contained in Google Cloud Storage, and they contains lookups values for DV360 entities. As you can see here, it's just like a screenshot of our entity read files, and they can be separated in 2 buckets. The public one, so public files which contains common public data and are not suitable for manual processing. They're based on JSON, so as we mentioned before, JSON is just a protocol programming language, very diffused within the developers, so it will be like a kind of easy process for them. And as we said, we got public files, but we got also private files which contains information about the partner's campaigns and budget and other private data of the partner that are stored in a specific bucket. Also here, if you want to know your own bucket, you can easily reach out to your AM, and they will help you to find out all the answers that you need. Also here, 3 simple action with as we did with the SDF. You can do it with the entity read files as well. So you can download and create. So downloading the SCV, you can download it from your platform or create totally new from the scratch. Modify it so you can change your data, the existing one, add new rows if you need it, and also like match them in within the values that you got in the table available in Google Cloud Storage, and then upload the modified CSV through the UI or through the API. Let's move on a bit from the APIs, SDF, and entity read files, so solution that will allow you to automate your reporting solution within the platform, to the last part, so the visualization one. All businesses manage data in the same way. We just put here 5 simple actions. So as we said, we start first like collecting the data, then we're gonna prepare and transform the data, analyze them, reporting, and share within the company. We know that it's not that easy. As we said, there are 5 main actions, but each action can be related to a single platform or a specific tool with specific purposes that they not used to connect, to interact perfectly with the others related to other purposes. So it's not that easy. It's complex, it's expensive, and it is difficult to manage. A lot of time is spent to integrate all the parts of the workflow. As we said, it's not easy. We got numbers here from surveyed marketers, and we said we just highlight three main areas that they told us that they are very they are struggling with. So the first one is just data lives in purpose-built silos. 60% of them, they said that measurement tools are difficult to use and reducing cross-team collaboration. Moving on, a lot of import and export, a lot of manual process is still present in your daily work. So it's very time consuming, and the 84% said that don't believe that their data sources are well integrated together. And also here, remember, the integration is the key for if you want to move on the tech maturity line. And the last one, data updated infrequently. Also here is very important. If you want to make good decision, your data need to be updated. And here the 57% of marketers stated that it's difficult to give their stakeholders in different functions access to the data and insights. Let's try to make it simple, so reduce our action to just connect, visualize, use, and collaborate. So connect your data easily, visualize them with beautiful and customized report, simple UI so that everybody can use it, and collaborate. So share your data, share your charts, share your reports within your organization. How to do that? We can rely on our solution. Like, as you know, we got Data Studio, which is a tool to let you connect your data easily. And how to use Data Studio, how can you just interact with Data Studio? You can use like 3 ways. You can rely on Google connectors, and Google connectors are built by Google to let you access data from analytics, ads, sheets, BigQuery, and all the other Google products. We got also partner connectors, and partner connectors, it means that are built and supported by Data Studio dev partners. Partner connectors just let you access data sorted in other Google and non-Google platforms, such as Facebook, social, and other DSPs or other platforms that you are using in your daily basis, that are present in your media plan. And also you got like community connectors, and community connectors are connectors that anyone can build. They are based on Google Apps Script, and they can let you access to any internet connected data source. What you can do with Data Studio, as we said, you can really customize fully your visualization. You can create beautiful report and make them yours, and you can share them with you within your organization. So rely on bespoke design and branding, so you can really do fancy report that your boss will appreciate a lot. And you can also use a lot of different type of charts, so you can use like linear, pie, and what else. An important thing with Data Studio is that the collaboration, as we said, collaboration, simplification, and integration is the key to move on the line of the tech maturity. And here, as you see in a slide, you can see that person A, who's working on the chart and is just working on it, and the person B can see what the person A is doing. So in real time you can see the editing part of the chart. So if you are doing, for example, if you're doing like a call, you can really agree on the modification that you are doing on your chart and define together what you need to achieve your goal. And what about the sharing? We said integration is the key, simplification as well, and sharing is caring. And of course, if you share what you work on with your colleagues, it will help you to also here like reduce the time loss and improve the cooperation within your organization. So that's it. We went through the reporting within DV360, the experiment solution, that we move on a bit through the new reporting solution and automated solution through APIs, SDF, and the solution that we provided within DV360 mainly. And then the last part focused on Data Studio, so our tool of visualization. And so we're gonna dedicate like 10 minutes to Q&A if we receive something in during the live stream, or we collected some of them just before the live stream, so we're gonna check them first.
Yes, so one of the questions that was from Jonathan is, for experiment on DV360, if you are using cookies to split the two mutually exclusive groups, are they not at risk of the continual decline of cookies, or do they not work on those browsers? So in this situation, there's always risk that the cookies may decline. But generally, if you are testing specific things, I highly recommend to go quite broad in terms of targeting. So once you are kind of testing one thing at a time, as I've said, the audience should be rather broad. So in specific example, I would say we are testing creatives. So one creative is generic, and the targeting is, for example, music lovers located in Germany, and then we would have like a couple of brand safety options on top of that, but the targeting will be still broad. And then we will have another creative, which is more personalized in terms of messaging for the same audience, but still the targeting is quite broad. The second thing in here, just not to be at risk for those kind of declining of cookies, is that we recommend 2 to 3 weeks of the testing timeline. Not more, not less, just to have enough amount of data to test. Obviously, you can test for a longer period of time, but you can still be at risk of declining those cookies. So just kind of reassuming to your questions, I would say, first of all, remember to have representative groups which with quite broad targeting and broad audience, so you would have enough cookie pool in order to measure your results. And second of all, remember about the timelines. We generally recommend from 2 to 3 weeks of testing. You can do a little bit more, but remember also how long the targeting bucket can be and the potential reach can be. So those kind of two best practices, I would say, they can help you out with avoiding the situation that the amount of cookies will be declining. I hope it answers your question.
Let me go with this one. How we can connect with an external data provider in Data Studio. The context. Some clients use more of one DSP to run their campaigns, so they can see in one report all of their campaigns platform that they currently use, including DV360, of course. Let's start from DV360. You can use our Google connectors, as we mentioned, while if you got like external DSPs, like for example, let's mention Adform or whatever, you can use and rely on a community connector. As we said, they are based on Google Apps Script, and you can really pull all the data that you need from an external source, like for example an external DSP within Data Studio. And let me go with another one regarding Data Studio. Where can we find some examples, some sample of Data Studio reports? You can easily go on datastudio.google.com and you can check the gallery, and there you got a lot of templates that you can that are ready-made and can give you like suggestions about this solution, the visualizing solution that you can provide to your customers or to your manager. So rely on our internal help centers and gallery, for example, like this one, so the report gallery of Data Studio.
Another questions that I can see that it was asked before the live stream is how can I convince the client to do A/B testing? It may be challenging sometimes to convince the clients to test new things, as I kind of mentioned before. What we kind of recommend when we also see from our experience in order to convince the client to A/B testing, if you have, for example, always on campaigns, and if you have like a strategic conversation with your clients around what you would like to achieve and what are your goals, always mention something that the percentage of the overall budgets that they put in your agency or you are just generally have for your marketing process should be used for A/B testing. So I would say maybe 20% or 10% of the budget on your always on campaign, you can always test different things. That will be different formats, that would be different types of targeting, especially if you want to kind of challenge your client and be more innovative. As you probably know from your own experience working with display and video 360, there are more and more things, innovative things, new updates coming to the platform, and programmatic environment itself, it's getting very competitive. So in order to get on top of things and be also innovative and not stay like on the very end of the line, it's always good to look into new things and innovations in your campaigns. So therefore, if you having those conversations with the clients around the budgets and how they want to run their business, always mention new formats and new features that are coming to programmatic landscape, but also recommend A/B testing. This is a safe way and kind of great efficient way to test new things, see what's working for you well and what's not working for you well, because there may be some feature which work for client that is on finance but not necessarily for a branding client. So therefore sometimes it's better to put smaller amount of budgets to test something if this is really relevant and bringing your results, rather than bringing 50% of your budgets for something that's not working. So therefore, if you have A/B testing, also you can test multiple variables, one thing at a time obviously, but if you have 3 different line items with 3 different strategies, you can always like propose something what suits for a client with measurable results and you can always refer to those results and how they are compared to the different strategies or creatives that you are using. So I think you can start the conversation that way, and I hope this answers your question. I think we have a room for one more.
Okay, let's go with let's merge this one because this one is super short. The answer: is it possible today to edit targeting settings using the API? Today is still impossible, so you cannot like edit targeting settings using the APIs, but don't worry because it's in roadmap, and you will see soon that there will be a lot of news regarding also the regarding targeting settings and edit targeting settings within through the APIs. Just the last one. How do I download line items SDF? As we said, is very easy. You can do it from the UI. So you go at the insertion order level, you get in where you got listed all the line items. You can download from there the SDF, or you can use the APIs to do the same. So relying on the UI to download the SDF for your line items, or use the API to do so. So thank you very much for your time. Hope this has been like helpful for you,
and make sure that you are subscribing to our newsletter and you're up to date with our live streams. Thank you so much for your time, and hope we will see you soon.
Goodbye.